All right, good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 125 of the Nerds Unite as One podcast. I am your host, Paul English. I do want to apologize for, once again, a long hiatus. It's been a month since our last show. As you know, life tends to get in the way. This stuff happens, unfortunately. We'll try not to let it happen again, at least anytime soon. But in the meantime, like always, we have a fantastic show for you tonight. Once again, we are doing an interrogation, and this time we're going to be grilling each other about a subject that, let's be honest, you're really never too old for: animation. We're going to be talking about our all-time favorite animated movies, and to help me out with that, I have a fantastic panel that I'm going to introduce to you right now. You know him, you love him. First of all, it's Chris Miller. How are you, sir?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, very long hiatus. I'm good. Just like, yeah, it's just like glad to be back. I mean, I wasn't sure. It was like I wasn't sure we were going to get this show running again. Yeah, like Paul says, stuff happens, but yeah, it's very good to be here.
Yes, indeed. Colton Hunt is also here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be part of another episode again. I never would be after my change my work schedule. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. And you got a friend in me. So that's the foreshadowing about what my movie is.
Also with us from Geek Salad, it is Mike Gulick. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. And Colton, that wasn't a subtle hint. That was a sledgehammer.
Well, there's a one. You got 1 in 3 guesses to what I'm going for.
All right, guys. So y'all know the formula of how this works. We're going to say our movie, and then one at a time we'll grill each other with some questions to why it is our pick. So left to right, Chris, what is your all-time favorite animated movie?
Pinocchio.
Oh, I can sense the fireworks coming.
Okay.
Colton, which Toy Story is it?
It's The Incredibles. Ha! You thought it was going to be Toy Story. No, it really is Toy Story. Never mind. Toy Story 1.
I'm not going to mute him if anyone else wants to. Mike, did you have a pick?
Yes, I do. It is the Miyazaki classic Princess Mononoke.
Alrighty. All right, my pick is Batman Under the Red Hood. All right, let's start it up. Chris, you're on the hot seat first. Ready or not, here we come. Colton, what is your first question for Chris?
Okay, so Pinocchio, like most Disney films back in the day, scarred children for life and all that jazz. And I have to say, just the very screwed up nature of that movie, would you say that actually really worked to its advantage, regarding this man putting it up as one of your favorites, your all-time favorite?
I mean, there is no doubt that Disney films do have are known for some intense moments. But it worked. Yeah. I mean, it's just like they have some very intense moments in it, and I think Walt Disney realized that his kids could handle scary stuff. Especially when you see, I'm betting like when Snow White and Pinocchio both came out, it's just like some interesting stuff was going on there. But yeah, it's full. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much full of moments that really kind of, they really, they tend to startle children. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. Okay. So guys, normally I'd have Mike go next. But I think, as we've seen him react in the bit, I think he might need a little bit more time to formulate his next question, or maybe just.
No, I've got it ready.
Okay. I mean, we've all seen him react to this before. Whenever when I showed that film on my collection update, I'm not going to refresh anyone's memory. If you want to see it, go find the episode. Otherwise, I forget it. But Mike, what is your first question for Chris?
I've come to terms with my fear of that movie. I will fully admit it is a gorgeous movie. I mean, for like one of the first I think he was the second.
Second.
The second full-length animated movie ever made, and it is beautiful. They can animate the hell out of those movies. So, in going with that, what is your just favorite moment in the movie that is just for animation wise?
Well, I feel that the Pleasure Island sequence is it's very exceptionally done, especially. But the finale with Monster of the Whale, that is an all-time highlight. I mean, they really breathe life into that character, and they really managed to make him a fearsome, very fearsome creature and very terrifying. They conveyed so much. The animators.
My favorite moment of that is just when Jimmy Cricket is underwater and suddenly the eye just opens.
Oh man, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Especially the final chase, when Monstro just leaps out of the water and tries to get to Pinocchio as he's like struggling to get into that cave. I'm like, damn, it's like if Monstro, crashed into them, they would have been like not only died, but I think they would have been like utterly crushed into like tiny pieces.
Yeah.
I won't mention the lamp boy turning into a jackass sequence.
Yeah, let's keep that one away for a moment, okay? Okay, so my question is this. Obviously, I mean, we could go on and on about just like all of the incredible animated films that Disney has created. I mean, in all honesty, I want to ask, like, has up until like the past decade or 2 decades, has Disney ever cranked out a bad movie? I would, other than direct to video ones, maybe not. But my question is, of all the animation classics that Disney has released, why is this one your favorite?
It's very much Disney. You just like from a technical level, it's pretty much unmatched. It's just like in this animation, it's just really just. It's just like you said, it's gorgeous. I mean, it really kind of combined. It's what makes Disney movies so great. I mean, it's very adventurous and sometimes frightening, even more frightening than most Disney films. I mean, but I can relate mostly more to Pinocchio than I do Snow White. I mean, it's like. Because Pinocchio's a boy, and he's like, boys get into a lot. Boys, as usual, ought to get themselves into a lot of trouble. It's just, it's just. I mean, and it has some of the best songs that Disney has. I mean, that has ever been featured in a Disney film. Actually, I mean, more Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King, kind of surpass it. But yeah, you had that. When You Wish Upon a Star, I mean, that's like.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it not the anthem of Disney?
Yeah, it is.
Song of Dreams.
Yeah. Continue.
I mean, it's just like. It's just, to me, it's pure. I mean, it's just pure delight, and it's a film that I mean, just don't. I mean, even when you watch it today, it's just you're still able to manage to sweep you. I mean, unlike a lot of Disney, I don't like a lot of Disney movies. But I mean, there's something really special about this one. It just manages to delight. It just manages to delight you in a way, in some way that I don't think. I mean, all Disney movies manage to delight you, but not in the same way this does. I think that's why I selected it as my favorite.
Okay, then. Okay. Colton, did you have another question?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to get into specifics regarding the evil villain's plan to spare Mike, but did it ever bother you that the villains just kind of get away scot-free in this movie? It's like... I understand, the moral they're going for, that if you misbehave, sometimes there won't be people to help out or whatever. But I mean, damn, that was kind of dark for a Disney film. That kind of comes back to my original question. But I'm like, seriously, did it ever bother you or anything like that?
I mean, I suppose it's just like, yeah. I mean, it's just that. To me, it made it. I think it was very brave of Disney. I mean, yes, it's based on the Kaladi tale, but I think it was very brave. Like I said, with dark moments, it's not afraid to shy away from. Not afraid to shy away from that. It's just like it's horrifying seeing what happened to those boys. I almost go into specifics. It's just like, I mean, you can, and even if you talk to animation experts and fans, you say that's probably the most intense and the scariest that Disney has ever been in a film. It's just, man, even gets me creeps today.
So you're not alone, Mike. It just affects you worse, but everyone has those issues. Oh, he wasn't even listening.
We can't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, sorry. No, I had taken these guys off. I've made my peace with it, but there's only so much I can take.
He's finished with that question. We're good.
Yeah, okay. Do you have another question?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
Okay. When I picked up my copy of it on Blu-ray, I was like, I can't have my little sisters go without seeing this movie. I mean, it's just something they need to see. Like every little kid should see these Disney classics. Blue Fairy, not bad looking out.
Yeah.
You agree?
Well, it's also the only female character in the movie.
This is true.
Yes, she was pretty good looking.
All right, that was it. Colton, anything else?
No, that about covers it, I think.
Alrighty then. I don't have anything else, though. You're off the hot seat, Chris. Colton, you're up next. Ready or not, here we come. Chris, what is your first question?
Okay, of all the animated films that you've seen this, what were the reasons that you selected it as you consider this your all-time favorite?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that of all the animated films I've seen, I feel like this one has probably the most rewatchability for me, I guess you could say. I could put Toy Story in at any time and just watch it start to finish and not get tired in the slightest. Whereas like some movies, I might feel mildly compelled to fast forward through a few parts here or there, something like that. But with Toy Story, it's like start to finish, I enjoy every second of it. I think it's a bit of a relatable story also, with a pretty relatable theme concerning jealousy. I mean, damn, we've all been there. Definitely me. It's seeing Woody sort of, really coming to grips with the fact that he's been jealous of Buzz the whole film. The way he just silently breaks down to tell his Buzz to get out to get out of Sid's house, but he still can't and to leave him behind. That really hits me right there. It's some of Tom Hanks's best. Some of Tom Hanks' best work, you know him for a lot of other performances and Oscar moments or whatever, but that still really hits me, and it's also, what I know that we've been sort of spoiled in the CG department, but I still feel like they did a good job with the technology, with CGI back then, the way they used it in this film, still holds up pretty well, I'd say. And the final shot where Buzz and Woody fly, that really appeals to my heart every single time I see it. It's like, hey, Buzz, you're flying. This isn't flying. This is falling with style. I'm like, laws of physics be damned. I love that, especially the music that plays alongside it. Just pure Disney Pixar magic right there.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey, Buzz, you missed the truck. We're not aiming for the truck.
Yep. Disney magic right there.
Definitely.
All right. Mike, what is your first question for Colton?
All right. The Toy Story trilogy could be in the argument for one of the best trilogies of all time. There's no doubting that. I think everyone will agree with that. So what is it about Toy Story 1 that makes it above Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3 in your book?
It's a hard, it kind of reminds me of, my love for Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and that, I acknowledge that Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are, stronger movies with stronger themes and all that jazz. It's the simpler story that I love the most, and that's kind of how it is with Toy Story 1, so to speak. I love Toy Story 2, and I really love Toy Story 3. I guess I just feel like the story of Toy Story 1, it's, like I said, it's the most relatable of the group, so to speak. Like Toy Story 2, ups the ante with Woody turning out to be, he's a rare collectible. On the Toy Story 3, it's about, about Andy growing up, the toys having to deal with coming to grips with the fact that they're going to be left behind. And those are very good stories, a great way to continue the trilogy. And I love how, Toy Story 3 ends as well. It's, again, great acting from Tom Hanks and the gang, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen. It's just that, I don't know, I love watching the first one the most, so to speak. Well, within an extent, I mean, Mr. Potato Head can go jump in a trash compactor for all I care in that film, but well, then again, side note, but Don Rickles makes Mr. Potato Head probably the most entertaining asshole of all time. But,
yeah, he excelled at that.
Definitely. Like I said, I just like the story of Toy Story 1 the most due to its relatability. Well, even though I will admit that Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3 have a lot more going for them story-wise. I feel like the relatability of the first one is what really makes me connect with it more. Especially since I've kind of been in Woody's position regarding being a tad overly jealous and overly emotional at times.
I think we all
Fair enough.
I mean, not to the point that I tried to knock my rival down not trying to accidentally knock my rival out the window or something like that, but
you wanted to hurt him.
Okay, well, maybe not hurt. Well, not physically, maybe emotionally. You get the idea.
Yeah, we get it. Okay, carrying on the trend of for my first question, Colton, and this is kind of carrying from the trend of the scary images found in Pinocchio. Sid's a pretty fucked up kid, isn't he? Did he?
Yes.
Did he kind of creep you out a little bit?
I don't think he really did. That's actually, which is kind of shocking because I was scared of a lot of things in the Disney library. I mean, Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, Pinocchio, you name it. I was afraid of it. Like my sister was banned from watching Sleeping Beauty in the house for years because I was too scared of Maleficent because I was afraid of Maleficent, and she still has a. Side note, my sister hasn't really forgiven me for that, but that's another story. I couldn't watch Snow White either. I was terrified of all that stuff, but for some odd reason, I was perfectly fine with Sid.
No, be the fast in the back.
What'd you say, Chris?
No, I was
he was quoting Maleficent
that movie. I'm just reading out to you a moment from that movie.
But yeah, for some reason, I was perfectly fine with Sid. I don't really know why. I mean, the kid mutilated toys, blew them up, wanted to catching Buzz to a rocket, decided to blow him up and down. I don't know why I was cool with that. It's kind of weird. Maybe because he wasn't maybe because he wasn't an evil queen or something like that. I don't know. An evil witch or something.
I remember that was the first time I saw anything, and I don't recall being scared of Sid. His dog, on the other hand, that's a whole other story. Woo!
Yeah, Scud was a bit of a monster on four legs, to say the least. It's dang, the way he tried tearing apart that that little green man from Pizza Planet, and nearly tore off Woody's leg. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you have another question?
Okay, what is the moment in the film that stands out stands out to you the most? I mean, what's your favorite moment in the film?
Well, like I said, it's the moment where Woody and Buzz, they fly. It's first it starts off with RC, running out of batteries, and then suddenly they're like, Woody, the rocket, the match, thank you, Sid. And then the match is blown out by a car passing by, and Woody is in despair and all that jazz, suddenly he realizes that he can use Buzz's helmet to as a way to set the rocket on fire. Then he's like, wait a minute, that's just a little rocket. Rockets explode, and then seeing the rocket blasting down the street like that. I love that animation. You know, you really feel like they're rocketing like towards the
truck.
Yeah, towards the moving van, and then they're flying so fast, and they actually start to take off the ground, and then Woody accidentally drops RC and sends them careening towards the moving van, and Rex is like, "Take cover!" And they all go running for it, while Mr. Potato Head just stands over like a deer in the headlights and gets hit by RC. That makes me laugh so hard. And then of course like I mentioned earlier, seeing Woody saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is the part where we blow up," and Buzz is like, "Not today!"
So heroic.
And then they fly, and oh my gosh, I love it. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense that they can fly. It shouldn't have happened. They should have crashed to the street, but they didn't. They flew. I don't care how. I love it. It appeals to the child in my heart so much. I actually feel like I might go dig out my copy of Toy Story after the show is finished and watch it.
Nice.
And seeing Andy's joy at getting Woody and Buzz back, I mean, what kid didn't, experience? Well, I mean, that's another relatable moment, just being able to find a toy that you thought you had long lost at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mike, did you have another question for Colton?
No, I'm good.
All right, I have one more question. And I'm going to put you on the spot here just a little bit. If there was one thing that bothered you at all about Toy Story, what is it?
If there was one thing that bothered me about Toy Story, I think it would be the fact that Mr. Potato Head and the other toys are fucking jerks. Okay, I mean, granted, they kind of had a point since as far as they saw, Woody just knocked Buzz out the window. Granted, it was kind of unintentional, but he was trying to still get rid of Buzz. But after that point, but at the same time, you really just got the idea that Mr. Potato Head was just looking for any sort of excuse to get Woody out of his life because he was just jealous of the fact that Woody was, getting all the attention, Like I said, he was an entertaining asshole, but he was still an asshole nevertheless, okay? So I just loved it every time something bad happened to Mr. Potato Head during the climax.
All right. Good point. All right, Chris, did you have another question?
No, I'm good.
All right, then, Colton, you are done. Mike, ready or not, you're on the hot seat. Are you ready? I don't care. You're up. Chris, what's your first question?
Okay, about Miyazaki's work. What Miyazaki's work? I mean, he's pretty much prolific and iconic in terms of animation. What makes you consider this the best of his work?
Well, first off, it actually is the very first of his work that I've ever seen. And so that just the experience of seeing it for the first time and seeing what Miyazaki can do with a story, that hit me the hardest with that one. So that's always going to bump it up for me. But for me, it's I mean, I love Spirited Away. I love Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service. He does fantastic movies, but this one, it call it the guy in me, but it was more action packed than the other stories. Like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, they're mainly kind of more personal stories. This one's a personal story, but there's a nice conflict mix in there that really kind of appeals to the hard guy in me.
All right. Colton, do you have a question for Mike?
Can you come back to me? I'm trying to think of one. This is a movie and a person who I know jack squat about.
Actually, you and me are in the same boat. I do have a question, and it's probably going to be my only one. As someone I've heard of Hayao Miyazaki, but I've never seen any of his work. I don't really think I've ever had any interest in seeing any of his work. So what would you say to someone like me, and to an extent Colton too, who has never seen any of his work, maybe has no interest in seeing it? What would you say? What's the number one reason you would give us to say you need to check this guy out? And if so,
well,
is Princess Mononoke the movie you'd recommend, or would you recommend another one?
Well, I mean, for one, Miyazaki is really considered the pinnacle of animation around the world. I mean, most of the people in Disney right now look to Miyazaki's movies as inspiration. So that's how highly he is regarded. For me, Princess Mononoke is just it's a very exciting, but it's a very majestic story all at once. Main character is actually this prince right here. He while protecting his village one day, he encounters this giant, like, it's a boar god, but it's covered like with this writhing mass of snakes. And the snakes are like, it's like alive. It's just a beautiful imagery. And so he goes out, he starts, he's shooting his arrows at this. He does manage to kill the boar god, but its tendrils like kind of wrap around his arm and burn him. And that's actually a cursed mark, which means he has to go and try and find this huge god of the forest to remove this curse, or else it'll eventually consume him and kill him. And so he goes out and he's fine. Goes to this town that's built on this lake, but it's in like an ironworks. They're ripping down the forests to get the iron underneath. But this entire city is run by prostitutes, thieves, people that were thrown out of society. And so the leader of the city is actually giving them a life, a purpose. So there really aren't any bad guys in this movie, but there's just two different points of view that are constantly at war. And the main character finds himself right in the middle of that war. And so he's got to try and find a way to get both sides to stop what they're doing, or else it just this curse that destroyed the war god is going to kind of spread out of control.
Okay.
So that's just kind of like a rough story overview for you guys, but I'm just trying to get you interested in this. There's layers, and the Princess Mononoke is this girl that was raised by the wolf god. And so there's so many different aspects of the story that it's exciting, but it's heartfelt and it makes you think. It's got characters that are deep and just so three-dimensional. It's really an amazing movie, and it's why it's my number one favorite. Aladdin is just a close second for me.
Okay. Honestly, you kind of had me when you said that people from Disney really looked up to Hayao Miyazaki.
Yeah.
All right. Chris, did you have another question?
I have no doubt that this movie has some very scary and very intense moments. I mean, what was the moment that stood out to you as the most scary and most terrifying and most intense moment in the film?
Well, I mean, it is definitely this is definitely not an animated movie for kids. There are some very violent moments. One comes pretty early on. I mean, beyond him, killing the boar god, as he's traveling from his village to the Iron Town, he encounters these mercenaries that are trying to attack this village, these poor defenseless villagers, and they're just trying to run away. He pulls out his arrow and he's pulling it back to stop one of the mercenaries, and suddenly the burn on his arm starts going all wild, and ghost snakes are coming off of it. It gets super strong, and he fires the arrow, and it doesn't just take the guy's sword out of his hands; it takes the guy's arms off.
Oh man!
I mean, they're clean. It's just this guy's standing there with two stubs for arms. And then later on, he does it again. He's like, "Don't! I don't want to hurt you." Lets it go. Takes the guy's heads off.
Wow.
So I mean, and that's maybe 15 minutes into the movie. It's pretty brutal, pretty spot on, pretty early on. I mean, it's there are some Oh, actually, this one part, he's actually in Irontown, and he's just stopped the fight between the leader of Irontown and Princess Mononoke, and he's actually walking out with Mononoke on his shoulder, taking her back to the wolves. And one of the guards in the Irontown gets nervous. His gun goes off and shoots the guy right through the chest, but he keeps going on. And he's got like blood streaming down his front and back, like pulling at his feet. But he's just keep going on because he's going to bring her out to the wolves, and it is an extreme moment. And there are plenty more in this movie, but they're beautiful to behold. I mean, they're powerful moments, but this is not for kids.
All right. Very intense, definitely. Colton, were you able to think of a question, or you?
Well, he answered it. Actually, I was during your question, when I was going to ask him what makes this his number one of all time, which he already answered. So I'm good.
Yeah. I actually don't have another question. I already asked my one. So, Chris, if you're all set, we will proceed.
I don't have any other questions.
All righty then, Mike, you're good.
Thank you.
Which means it's my turn. So, Chris, you're up. What is your first question for me?
In all the animated films, what makes, especially that, what you said, it's from the standpoint of Batman animated features, what makes this to stand out to you? What makes you consider this your favorite?
Honestly, I mean, there's almost nothing wrong with this movie to me at all. I mean, the animation is incredible. The story writing on here is amazing. The voice acting is spot on, and the high quality action, just enough humor to keep it going. But what really sets it apart is just how amazing the dialogue is in this film. This film, like, honestly, this might have some of the best dialogue I have ever heard in any movie. It's just that it is up there with the likes of Casablanca, Star Trek 2, 12 Angry Men, just how amazing the dialogue is in this film. I mean, the climactic scene, and I won't get into too much of it right now, but if this ever got a live action adaptation, there is no way that any film critic in their right mind could leave that climax off of the list of like the 100 or so greatest scenes in cinema history. It is just that powerful, just how perfect the writing is, the words chosen, and the emotion put into it. It is just perfect. Like, as far as scenes go, it is a perfect scene. So I mean, that's why it stands out. Really, the dialogue in this film is just unbelievable. On top with a fine story and great action. So that's what makes it stand out. Colton, what is do you have a question?
Yeah. So, for most Batman fans, the definitive voices of Batman and the Joker are Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill,
True.
And as the definitive Joker, Batman and Joker voices are Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, neither of whom were in this film. So, what'd you think of Bruce Greenwood and Joe DiMaggio's takes on the characters?
I thought they were incredible, especially Bruce Greenwood. I mean, he delivered a spot on, deep, complex, emotional portrayal of it. You still felt the inner rage that that comes natural to Batman, and so I mean, he did spot on. And then John DiMaggio, I think his name is, as the Joker. Woo, this guy was. I would say he was on par as far as like a brutality take on him. I would say on par with Heath Ledger as far as like just a brutal crime lord or just villain. I mean, my God, this guy was intense. I mean, he did I thought he did a fantastic job. So both of them did an amazing job. That really is like my one nitpick on this movie, is that if Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill did provide the voice of this film, this to me would be up there with, this film would be a 10 out of 10 rating, which I've only given to two other films, Casablanca and Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan. Like, that's it. If that hadn't changed, this film will be up there too. It's like 10 out of 10s. So,
all right,
that answer
cool.
your question.
Yeah, it does. I've only ever seen the opening. I've only ever seen just the opening of this movie, but I will admit that despite loving Mark Hamill, I will admit that John DiMaggio is the brief moment I heard him do his Joker voice. So the way he said "tell the big guy I said hello" right before he left. Right before he left, which
Jason to his face.
right before he left Jason to quote unquote die in that explosion. That actually did send a chill up my spine, especially the way that he just kept beating the hell out of him with a crowbar.
Yeah.
Like, damn, it's like we've seen a lot of disturbing things from Hamill's Joker throughout the animated series, including what he did to Tim Drake. But I don't think we've ever seen him just flat out beat somebody to death, though. That's like pretty out there for the Joker, I'd say.
Definitely. Mike, did you have a question?
Yeah, I would say like there have been a lot of good Batman movies, animated movies. For me, my favorite's going to be Mask of the Phantasm.
Can't go wrong with that one.
But I know obviously you'd have this one rated above all those, obviously.
Yeah.
What is it about this portrayal of Batman specifically that really kind of elevates this one?
I think it really is a combination of like everything that went into it. I mean, of all the elements that go into like making a good animated character. I mean, first of all, he's got to be drawn well, which I mean, DC animation can't go wrong with. These guys know what they're doing when it comes to animation. Good voice casting. I mean, again, Bruce Greenwood, hell of a job. He's no Kevin Conroy, but he did it, and he's a talented actor nonetheless. And he did a stellar job. And the dialogue that was given to him, I mean, you've heard me preach on and on about how, if the quality that went into these movies went into the live action films, the DCEU would be kicking Marvel's ass right now. I mean, the dialogue given to him, which granted, I know a lot was an adaptation of, a death in the family scene from the comics, but still, the translation was absolutely incredible. So I mean, yeah, it's amazing writing, well done animation, and superb voice work. All three of them worked in to make an amazing portrayal of everyone's favorite Caped Crusader.
All right, cool.
Chris, did you have another question?
Yeah. What is the moment that stands out to you most in this film? Was it the moment that stands above all? What was the moment that what is the moment in the film that you consider the best?
Oh, that final dialogue scene between Batman and the Red Hood, when Red Hood's got Joker cornered, and after we find out who he is, kind of like almost an anticlimax that had been hinted at all along. But I mean, the exchange of words that come through between Jason and Bruce. Oh my God, just the emotion, the depth of exploration. It gives me chills, really, just thinking about it. When Jason's holding him, I was like, I forgive you for not saving me, Bruce, but why is he still alive? How could you do this to me? Why did he still alive? If there were roles in the birth, I would have hunted him down the end of the birth. I would have killed him. Why didn't you do it? And the bride, I can't, Jason. Why? Is it too hard for you to take a life, Bruce? No! It's too easy. You don't think I want him dead? You don't think I'm haunted by all the graveyards that he filled single-handedly? Of course I am. I want nothing more than to kill him. But if I do that, I'm no better than him. And that is such perfect exploration into Batman's psychology. The thin line that he walks between being a vigilante and being a villain. It is such a fine line. And Batman has to walk that line every day because he knows one wrong move, just one slip up, and he becomes no better than any of his villains. And that also leads into the amazing explanation of what makes Batman's villains so unique from other, quote-unquote supervillains. If you look at some of Batman's big villains, Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Two-Face, they're mirror images of Bruce Wayne. These are all people who suffer great tragedies in their life. But unlike Bruce Wayne, the rage and anger they felt, it consumed them. Each one of them, Bruce could have become like any of them if he had allowed the pain and rage he felt at the death of his parent to consume him instead of rising above it. That is the one thing that separates him, and it's his moral code. Like, I cannot kill him if I can avoid it. Otherwise, I'm no better than them. That was perfect writing, and there's a perfect exploration, a visual look, verbal look into the psychology of Batman. Absolutely stunning. So for all those reasons, that movie, that scene right there, one of the greatest scenes I have ever seen, bar none.
All it takes is one bad day.
Yeah.
That's the moral of a different comic book, but still, or of a different comic event in Batman's life, but still. But you got a shitty adaptation, but well, that's another story.
Another story. Did I answer your question, Chris? You were kind of like I bored you.
You did. No, you didn't. No.
Okay. Colton, did you have another question?
Yeah, and this is a simple-ish question, but Red Hood is voiced by Jensen Ackles of all people. I mean, Dean Winchester. That feels kind of weird just imagining that voice behind that guy behind the voice. But what did you think of him? Of his performance?
Well, he's known from Supernatural, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've never seen Supernatural, so I really have nothing to compare him to. But
okay, then,
I thought he was fine. I thought he did a great job, actually. His voice acting was very good. Honestly, I was kind of more surprised by the fact that Neil Patrick Harris voiced Nightwing. I didn't recognize him almost. It wasn't until like his last line in the film when he looks at Alfred, I'm like, he did just thank me, right? I'm like, oh, that's Neil Patrick Harris. Holy shit. Doogie Howser's voicing Nightwing. I mean,
Neil Patrick Harris can be a bit of a chameleon when he tries to, you know.
Yeah, he can, apparently.
Apparently, Jensen Ackles was in Smallville.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, for like one season, right before he joined Supernatural.
All right, so I thought Jensen Ackles did fine. Mike, did you have another question?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, Chris, anything else?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine here.
Colton?
Okay, bonus question then real quick. If you could make a live-action version of this movie, who would you cast as Batman, Joker, and Red Hood?
That's not a question you can just spring on someone.
It was just for fun. I don't know if you have an answer. If you don't have an answer, we're good.
Give me some time to think. Maybe I'll have an answer for you for next week's show if we manage to get around to doing one next week.
Sure.
Okay, guys. So that is going to wrap up our interrogation. We all did a great job. Real quick, before we wrap up for the day, I realized when we did our last collection update a month ago, I realized there were two items that I had that I forgot to show you. So if you'll bear with me for a moment, I want to show those off real quick. So one of the two that I forgot to show off, I got the Legacy Titanus sword. Look at the size of this thing. It's awesome.
It looks like crap.
I can appreciate that one.
What did you just say about the toy? What did you just say? Never mind. He's muted.
And then y'all might appreciate this a little bit more. I got the Super Nintendo Classic.
Oh yeah, I got that one too.
I was lucky enough to get it. All right, guys. So yeah, that was the other two items I forgot to show off. So thank you for giving me that time. All right, guys. So that is going to wrap up our show. So I want to thank you all for being here. I
do not deserve to suffer this indignity.
Chris, thank you.
Shut up, Chris.
You shut up. You creepy mustache.
Golden.
Carolina sucks, by the way.
It was great to be here, Paul. Thanks, man. And despite what you just said, I don't know what you just said, Chris, but you've still got a friend in me.
Mike, it was a pleasure having you here as well.
Hey, great to always be back.
I hope to see you next week, not just for another show, but in person for Black Panther.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see this movie.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, guys, we will be back next week with another show. Knock on wood. I don't know. So if so, we'll see you next week. But if not, we will see you as soon as we can. So take care, everyone.
Eventually.
We will see you eventually. Yes. So have a great night, everyone.